I'm Taneli Kukkonen. I'm currently serving as the Dean of Arts and Humanities. I'm also a Professor of Philosophy here at NYU Abu Dhabi. Presently, I'm also the co-PI of the Humanities Research Fellowship. The Humanities Research Fellowship is the flagship research initiative hosted at NYU Abu Dhabi. It's funded by the Research Institute, and every year it hosts a number of senior as well as junior scholars working on diverse topics, especially as they relate to the regional and the Arab world. Early Islamic thought and culture is one of the areas of concentration with the Humanities Research Fellowship. It's an especially interesting topic for the purposes of NYU Abu Dhabi, insofar as we're able to host here a variety of scholars who have common interests in early Islamic culture, and especially intellectual history, which is usually a field that's studied in various different pockets of various academic institutions. So to be able to bring these scholars together to collaborate and to exchange knowledge is an exciting and very, very valuable opportunity. In the topic of early Islamic thought and culture, we've hosted, for instance, people such as Walid Saleh, who's a renowned Quranic scholar and a scholar especially of the interpretation of the Quran, that's to say the tafsir, the commentaries. And we were able to connect his work with that of Hadia Mubarak, who's a present-day scholar of, let's say, Quran in the modern world, and especially feminist interpretations of the Quran. So it's an exciting opportunity for us to connect people working on very early Islamic materials with present-day. Then also another area of concentration where we've been able to make valuable connections is in the study of Islamic philosophy, theology, and mysticism. So Muhammad Rustam, who was a humanities research fellow and was working on 12th century Islamic mysticism, was able to make a return here under the auspices of the Library of Arabic Literature, and at the same time to be working in conjunction with Ayman Shihadeh, who's currently a senior research fellow working on 11th century Islamic theology, as well as John Zaleski, who's a current postdoctoral fellow who's working on early Islamic mysticism. So right now we are actually hosting a significant concentration of work that connects again these strands of Islamic thought. One of the prime objectives of the Humanities Research Fellowship is to provide a window that in a sense is open two ways between scholars globally who come to NYU Abu Dhabi and present their work here, and at the same time for our faculty to get to connect with these renowned scholars while they're here. So what we try to do in each case is to find already ex ante, before the fact, fellows who we think would especially productively be conversing and collaborating with our faculty. And at the same time, then once the selection process has landed on especially prominent scholars, then to make sure that our faculty are aware of the work that these scholars do, and that they're ready and eager to invite them to different kinds of collaboration as soon as these scholars come here. To take a non-random example, just last night I was hosting at my home a couple of our current research fellows, Ayman Shihadeh and John Zaleski, and together with them and a doctoral student from Emory University who is currently living in Abu Dhabi, we were reading the texts of a 9th century Muslim mystic, Al-Muhasibi. So of course we also want to be working in systematic ways to build bridges through the Humanities Research Fellowship, then with other research institutions as well as prominent research universities. And so far we've been very fortunate in forging many kinds of collaborations that are just starting to bear fruit. So Jan Loop, who's been a Humanities Research Fellow in times past, was awarded a very substantial European Research Council grant, and his European Quran project is now a prime collaborator, and we remain in touch through our various Quran scholars with the Humanities Research Fellowship and our own work. Also in connection with Jan Loop's work, we established a research network between NYU Abu Dhabi, between the University of Kent, where Jan Loop is working, and then several US institutions, UC Berkeley and Harvard University, and now most recently the Australian Catholic University in Melbourne, to start up a research network on recognizing religions which is a collaborative project looking at the way in which the various monotheistic religious traditions in particular have recognized one another, seen each other in one another's eyes and so on throughout the ages. So again, in that respect too, we're looking at early time periods and seeing how those illumine more recent developments and vice versa. A present-day research fellow, Esmat El-Halabi, presented something fascinating on how the early 20th century Muslims were reading the Indian Mahabharata as an expression of Indian monotheism, which we were able to connect then to work done at NYU New York on how Confucius's Analects were received in Cairo in the early 20th century. And looking at this, then, we're now building a bridge from there back to earlier times to look at how Christians and Muslims were looking at non-monotheistic faiths and trying to interpret them through a monotheistic lens. The Humanities Research Fellowship hosts two categories of scholars, roughly speaking: senior fellows and then junior fellows, who are most often in the postdoctoral stage. And for those junior fellows, we want to make sure that the fellowship offers a comprehensive professional development package. And for those purposes, we wanted to open the door also to junior fellows potentially to be teaching during their time here. So if a junior fellow takes on a 2-year fellowship, in their first year, they build the connections, they make themselves known to the faculty that we have here on the ground in the Division of Arts and Humanities especially, potentially also at least the social science faculty. We look to see if there would be opportunities for those fellows to teach a course in their area of specialty or to fill in teaching needs that we have in the division. And the early signs are that, again, that this can be a really well-received professional development opportunity for those junior fellows, who we hope to have as well placed then for the job market afterwards as possible. My own personal research is in Islamic philosophy and theology in the classical period, and as such, when I learned of the Humanities Research Fellowship's work long before I was asked to serve as co-PI, I was absolutely delighted and indeed honored to be at the same institution as the fellowship, because there simply are not that many places in the world that would be offering the kinds of opportunities for cross-disciplinary collaboration as the Humanities Research Fellowship puts forth. For people who are working in, let's say, the field of Islamic philosophy and theology, they often fall between the cracks, academically speaking. A few of them may end up in philosophy departments, some are in religious studies in theology, others are in Middle Eastern studies or Near Eastern studies or Arab and Islamic studies departments. And although there are a few professional conferences where people come together, the Middle Eastern Studies Association, the American Academy of Religion, and so on, those opportunities to actually just see one another are often few and far between. So the notion that there would be a place in the world where people whose, again, host institutions are in different academic disciplines might come together and get to converse at their leisure over a period of 1 or 2 years, be hosting workshops that relate to their area of specialty. It's immensely exciting. I've had the opportunity to host a workshop here myself with the NYU Abu Dhabi Institute, and the fact that we had Humanities Research Fellows working in cognate areas who could lend their expertise to that event, and to come to those events to chair sessions, and then to build those connections for their own purposes as well as mine, has felt like a real privilege. Humanities Research Fellows also get the opportunity to host a workshop while they're here, and oftentimes these on the surface level look like they might be on fairly refined and specialized topics, but what's remarkable about the atmosphere at those workshops is often how inviting the fellows themselves and their designated guests make them. So those workshops often end up gathering a much larger community from NYU Abu Dhabi and indeed regionally to again discuss a topic of common interest. And because often those workshops are indeed workshops in the full sense of the word, they're related to work in progress that the fellow has and are meant to advance the agenda in that particular subject field, the energy of those events is often quite palpable. So one of the remarkable things is just how productive those are. I personally think that I can trace several publications in my field that I've seen come out in the last couple of years to the workshops that I attended.